Good morning and good afternoon to everybody who's joined us for our final session of the XG Firewall Academy. My name is Jade Evans and I am the final host today for the Sophos XG Firewall Academy. We can see that people are still joining us, so just to say that we'll be starting in the next 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, please go and grab yourself a drink, sit back and get ready for our final session, the Future of Firewall, that will be starting in 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to today's final session out of our 9 technical educational webinars for the Sophos XG Firewall Academy. For those who may already be aware, I'm just going to go over a couple of housekeeping points for anybody who's new to our XG Firewall Academy series. All attendees will be on mute for the duration of the presentation. However, please feel free to post questions via the Q&A panel, which can be located on the right-hand side of your screen. Join us for today's session. We have our dedicated Sophos experts who will be answering your questions while we're watching today's session with Chris McCormack, the Future of XG. After the video, we'll be addressing the most relevant questions live with Jan. And finally, this session is being recorded and will be made available to all registrants within 24 hours. For those who may have missed our previous sessions 1 to 8, you can also watch these on demand by visiting our event URL. The URL is on the screen being displayed, and you'll also receive an email later today with the link for you to be able to go back and watch any of the sessions on demand. So without further ado, wishing you a lovely and nice informative final session of our XG Firewall Academy. Please feel free to ask all your questions in the Q&A panel, and we look forward to welcoming you back to our live Q&A session. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome to this session on XG Firewall, where we'll have a look at what's new and what's next with XG Firewall. There's a ton of innovation going on at Sophos these days, and XG Firewall and our firewall customers are the big benefactors of all this innovation. There have been a number of key trends that have been driving our product innovation and development over the last year. First, which is something that is top of mind for many organizations, protection and performance. These two go hand in hand. The more protection you need, the more performance you need to support it. So any major innovations that can be made to provide more protection within a given performance budget can have an enormous benefit. And at Sophos, we've invested heavily in delivering our new Extreme architecture, which delivers new levels of performance and protection that make it easier for organizations to enable the kind of protection you need without stretching your budget. Next, there's an ever-increasing demand for simpler and easier products that enable organizations to do more with less, to help you with the day-to-day management and response to threats. This is why we've invested heavily in cloud management tools in our Sophos Central management platform to make firewall management and reporting easy. Whether you have one firewall or 1,000 firewalls, it's the best cloud management platform in the industry. And as you probably know, we are the only vendor to have invested heavily in not only managing all of our Sophos products in the cloud, but in synchronizing security, making these products work together to share information and automatically respond to threats. And then the other major trend we've all been challenged with this year is the transformation to supporting remote workers and more cloud and hybrid infrastructure. Our investments in this area include updates to our SD-WAN products like our SD-Red devices, our Sophos Connect VPN client, and cloud integrations with AWS, Azure, Nutanix, and now Zero Trust Network Access or ZTNA. So let's have a closer look at some of these and what they mean for you. First, let's talk about the new Extreme architecture and how it enhances protection and performance to block the latest threats and attacks, but with a tremendous performance increase that means you don't have to compromise on protection to get the performance you want. Here's a quick look at some of the outstanding performance gains we introduced recently with XG Firewall version 18. Fast path acceleration can offer up to a 5 times performance improvement in throughput. But of course, your mileage may vary depending on your particular mix of traffic. Other performance gains from V18 include the doubling of TLS inspection performance, which is also important when combined with intelligent policies that can determine what to scan and what not to scan. It's really essential in today's uber encrypted, network environment. We've also dramatically improved SSL VPN capacity across the entire line with up to 6 times the number of connections depending on your particular model, which as you can imagine is vital in today's work from home world. And thanks to the new DPI engine, real world traffic throughput performance is up to 100% faster, with 57% being the average gain across the line, which is substantial. So, the performance gains in version 18 are enormous. And if you're a Sophos XG Firewall customer, this added performance comes for free. I strongly encourage you to upgrade to version 18 as soon as possible to start enjoying the added performance. These performance gains are all thanks to the new Extreme Packet Processing architecture in XG Firewall version 18. The new network flow fast path you can see depicted here on the bottom can accelerate trusted traffic through the system on the fast path. Traffic that doesn't require security inspection, either through matching a Sophos Lab signature or through your own policy settings, can be accelerated. For example, this video stream you're watching right now doesn't need security inspection. It's just a stream of bits that can't possibly contain code or malware. So it doesn't need to be scanned. And doing so would actually waste resources in the firewall. So it can be sent through on the fast path. This provides added performance headroom for traffic that actually does need that inspection. So here's a breakdown of how different traffic mixes fare. Look in particular at the firewall iMix performance improvement. And iMix is a standard real-world traffic mix of internet traffic or internet mix. It's up to 57% on average, and as I mentioned, up to 100% in some cases. Again, all thanks to the optimizations in version 18 and the Extreme architecture that we implemented with the fast path. And that's not all. I also mentioned we've optimized the remote access SSL engine, which can now handle dramatically more connections than before, which is critical in today's work from home world. On the high end, customers are enjoying up to 5 to 6 times more SSL VPN connections, with impressive gains of 2 to 3 times in the middle of the range. And in our recent maintenance release number 3, we also made it easier to deploy and manage remote access with our Sophos Connect VPN client. And remember, Most firewall vendors charge extra for SSL VPN connections. You only get a few for free and then you need to pay more. SonicWall, WatchGuard are particularly bad for this. With XG Firewall, we don't charge extra at all for VPN, up to the capacity of your device. And you can imagine our Sophos Connect VPN client usage, it's gone through the roof over the last several months, with of course more and more organizations having their users connect remotely from home into their corporate networks. And we now have over, I think, 1.2 million and growing active clients out there. That's enormous. And it's simple to use, easy to configure and deploy, and it's available on both Windows and Mac. And as I mentioned, it's free. And we just released version 2 with new management capabilities, improved capacity, SSL VPN support. It really is making your life a lot easier in these trying times, especially if you have remote workers. So lots of impressive performance gains and innovation in improving the performance and protection of your device, all thanks to our new architecture. All of this performance comes as a free upgrade for all of our firewall customers. Now let's turn our attention to what we're making your life easier with our Sophos Central Cloud platform. Our cloud-based management platform that manages all of your Sophos products, not just your firewalls. Let's have a look at what we've done there. So XG Firewall is now fully integrated into Sophos Central for management, reporting, and even deployment of your firewalls. You can monitor the health of your firewalls all from within Sophos Central. You can do one-click firmware updates, and now a recent addition is that you can schedule those updates for a date and time that's convenient for you. And you can manage your backup files in Sophos Central. You can do group policy management, so adding a firewall to a group and then adjusting the global policy will have those settings synchronized across the entire group, making it very easy to make a change once and have it replicated automatically across all your firewalls. And you can view and audit changes that administrators are making via the task queue or that you've made. And we recently added HA support to Sophos Central, so you can now add HA pairs to groups and manage them similar to other devices in the group. And XG Firewall reporting in Sophos Central is greatly enhanced with recent releases with new reports, new features. There's a helpful dashboard, several prepackaged built-in reports, and what's more important are flexible customization tools that allow you to build a rich set of custom reports with a variety of visualization options and then save, schedule, or export these reports on a regular basis. And we recently added cross-firewall reporting to Sophos Central Firewall Reporting Advanced, which is a fantastic addition for anyone managing more than one firewall. You get a holistic view of your network and firewall threat data across all of your devices, or you can drill down into just one location or one particular group of firewalls. It's extremely flexible and powerful. And we've recently integrated XG Firewall into our award-winning Managed Threat Response service, where we have a dedicated team of analysts monitoring your network and performing threat hunting and response 24/7 that leap into action to neutralize threats and provide you complete transparency into your security posture and activity. The MTR connector for XG Firewall enables our MTR service to prevent, detect, and respond to threats across both the network and the endpoint. XG Firewall now shares network telemetry such as advanced threat protection or intrusion prevention events, enabling our MTR analysts to identify new indicators of compromise and indicators of attack. This is now available to advanced tier customers who manage their XG firewalls in Sophos Central and use Central Firewall Reporting Advanced. And you don't need to replace your existing firewall to take advantage of this. That's one great aspect. You can deploy XG Firewall as a network security appliance in line with your existing firewall or even in tap mode to provide the data gathering and telemetry necessary to manage the MTR service while leaving your existing firewall to do its job. All right, let's talk now about some of our most recent releases. One area of focus for us has been on hardening security. The whole world has come under siege from attackers this year, looking to take advantage of the turmoil we've all been experiencing to try and exploit any weakness they can find. So we have doubled down on securing our products to protect your data and the data stored within them, with features like CAPTCHA to prevent brute force hacking attempts and stronger password protection. And with the enormous, shift to working from home, as I mentioned earlier, and remote access, we've really invested heavily in bolstering remote access VPN capabilities that I somewhat touched on earlier, but I want to remind you here. We've really boosted SSL connection capacity. We've enabled group deployment support for Sophos Connect from Microsoft AD and LDAP. We enforce TLS 1.2 connections now. We have IPsec auto provisioning, advanced options for IPsec setup, and we've made a number of user experience enhancements that you'll enjoy. Now, more and more organizations, of course, are migrating some of their applications and data to the cloud and have what I would call hybrid data centers now. So you might have some infrastructure in the cloud and some still on-prem. So we've been investing in cloud infrastructure protection, or public cloud infrastructure protection. And we are investing in Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and we've recently partnered with Nutanix to enable XG Firewall to protect infrastructure on their platform as well. So there's a lot of enhancements to AWS support, in particular in recent releases. New instance support, as you can see here on the right, really opens up a bunch of new regions for XG Firewall deployments in France, Sweden, Italy, South Africa, and the Middle East, as well as South America. CloudFormation templates are also new, enabling you to deploy a configured XG Firewall without having to go through the initial setup wizard, which makes it faster and easier to deploy an XG Firewall in AWS. And now we support single-arm deployments for securing east-west traffic within AWS networks. We also offer two high availability modes I want to mention for added business continuity as we continue to enhance our high availability options. So you have two options, active-active and active-passive. Active-active has the benefits of added performance as both devices are working together in a load balancing fashion to share the workload. Active-passive has one active device and the other is sitting idle on hot standby, ready to take over if the first device should fail. This is a more affordable option as it only requires a set of active licenses on the active device. Now, high availability setup with XG version 18 couldn't be easier. It's literally plug and play. Simply connect the designated ports together on the two devices with an Ethernet cable, and they will take over synchronizing. It is great. We've also seen rapid growth in high availability deployments where customers really value business continuity through redundancy and added performance in some cases that comes from clustering firewalls together in an active-active setup. So we've expanded our HA support, or high availability support, offering a boost in performance with the extreme fast path implementation I mentioned earlier, now available in HA pairs, as well as support for high availability deployments in Amazon Web Services as well. So we really made overall our HA upgrade and deployment scenario a lot easier recently and more robust and support more situations. All right, so let's have a look at what's next for XG Firewall. We've got a number of great enhancements coming this year for XG Firewall, Sophos Central Management and Reporting, and our broader network security ecosystem. I'm going to dive into a couple of these in more detail, but let's have a run through this fairly extensive list. So we're always looking at ways to optimize performance, and you'll see some exciting news coming on this front later this year. In particular, we are investing in putting more traffic on the fast path where it makes sense. And a good example of that is IPsec VPN traffic. We are also investing in expanding our SD-WAN options with performance-based link monitoring and routing. Data collection and sharing across product is also a priority, as you can imagine, as is FIPS compliance, which is very important in some vertical markets. Now, on Sophos Central, one of our headline features this year will be a very exciting new SD-WAN orchestration tool, which I'll cover in a bit more detail in a moment. We'll also be further integrating into our MTR service and upcoming XDR platform, which are also important, as well as offering full API support for lifecycle management of your firewalls, data access, and dashboarding and alerting through third-party tools. We also want to streamline and optimize the new firewall enrollment into Central, even make it easier than it already is. And we want to support new firewall rule pinning, which will add the power and flexibility you need to set your firewalls either at the firewall rules at the top of the list or at the bottom. You'll be able to globally pin rules on all your firewalls in the right place in the firewall rule stack. We're also greatly expanding our partner tool set for managing firewalls on behalf of customers and adding centralized alerting. So that's a huge list of stuff so far, but we're not done. We are also introducing 2 new access products this year as part of our growing sort of network security ecosystem. First is Zero Trust Network Access, or ZTNA, which is already generating a ton of excitement as it offers much better control, easier deployment, and a more seamless experience than Remote Access VPN. It's ideal for connecting remote users to your important applications and data. And then another new Sophos product will be a Sophos switch, which I'll cover in a bit more detail shortly. We also want to provide a seamless migration experience for our SG customers and even customers coming from other firewall platforms, so you will see tools around this area as well. And then we will be expanding our AWS support as we always have been. Synchronized security enhancements will also come along, as well as offering a Splunk app for organizations that want to view and manipulate their firewall log data in other systems. So as you can see, there is a huge number of initiatives that we're undertaking this year with far-reaching benefits for protection and performance, visibility, response, networking, and just making your life easier. So one of the things I wanted to cover in a bit more detail was the new SD-WAN orchestration capability that is one of our headline developments for this year, coming soon to Sophos Central. Now, we all know that site-to-site VPN orchestration can be a bit of a chore, right? Deploying and managing remote access can also be a burden. So one exciting new capability coming to Sophos Central is SD-WAN and site-to-site VPN orchestration, where Sophos Central becomes your control center for all things VPN, with point-and-click options to deploy new firewalls, create full mesh networks, and monitor your broader network, including your VPN tunnel status. Sophos Central will also be your one-stop shop for managing remote access via our ZTNA product that will provide you granular control over what users and what devices have access to important corporate applications and data, whether they're on-prem or in the cloud. And it all is transparent and easy for the end users. It's going to be a real game changer compared to remote access VPN. And the amount of interest in this is just enormous. It's just exploded, of course, with the situation we're all in the world today. Now, our new ZTNA offering fills an important role in our overall Sophos Secure Access portfolio, where we want to ensure customers can connect their networks anywhere, anyhow, using whatever tools are most appropriate for the job. So you can quarterback everything from Sophos Central, our cloud management platform, of course, from your on-prem XG firewall if you need to, or use a combination of both. And you can access your network through traditional network access devices like our line of wireless access points or our upcoming switch product, or you can use our service edge solutions for zero trust remote access and branch office SD-WAN connectivity. All of these are unique in the industry for supporting and leveraging synchronized security to help protect from threats and automatically leap into action or respond when there is an incident. For example, our new switch product will have synchronized security heartbeat enforcement built in, so you can isolate LAN segments based on a red heartbeat condition in that segment. ZTNA can also use heartbeat so compromised devices can be denied access to corporate apps and data. So let's face it, Sophos is alone in the industry in offering synchronized security, threat identification and response, and we're taking it to a whole new level by integrating it into our complete ecosystem of secure network access solutions. Now, Sophos ZTNA is one component of our larger SASE strategy. SASE, if you're not familiar with the term, stands for Secure Access Service Edge, which is a Gartner term used to describe the migration of network security services to the cloud, with the promise of providing security for anyone, anywhere, on any device. Sophos can bring some unique value to a SASE solution. Of course, in addition to our firewall, we have a very capable endpoint product, and our secure access portfolio that we just discussed, including SD-Reds and our ZTNA product. Together, these already allow anyone to connect from anywhere while providing industry-leading protection. Our ultimate goal is to evolve network security so you can set policy once in Sophos Central and have it enforced everywhere. But that enforcement would be intelligent, providing it where it's most economical or performant, whether that's on the endpoint in one particular case or the firewall in another case or in the cloud. It's going to enable a whole new level of flexibility, ease of use, protection, performance, and just make your lives a lot easier. It's a powerful concept. To set it once and secure it everywhere, it will be a game changer. Since we're literally launching the early access program for this new Zero Trust Network Access product I mentioned imminently, I want to take a few minutes to review it in more detail with you and actually encourage you to participate in the early access program, or EAP. So let's have a look at Zero Trust. We've gone through a major shift in the way many of us work over the last year, right? And the way that networks are structured these days, I like to refer to this new world order as the branch office of one, where a branch office now consists of one remote worker in their home, somewhere, anywhere, really in the world. This is all fine, except most organizations now have dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of branch offices of one. And we all know that managing a branch office on a network, is challenging. So this quickly becomes a nightmare to connect and secure and onboard and decommission, these branch offices of one that are constantly changing over the course of a month or a year. So VPN adoption has obviously exploded as a result in recent months. Our own Sophos Connect adoption has grown 10 times since the beginning of the year, with now over 1.2 active users. And this is not unusual. In fact, it's in line with other remote collaboration apps, like you can see in this graph, Zoom and Teams, both up 8, 9, 10 times from earlier this year. No surprise. And in a recent survey conducted by Forrester, of course, the vast majority of IT decision makers interviewed recently, said their organizations were unprepared to make this transformation. No surprise there. Who could possibly be prepared for this kind of sudden transformation? And so we've had to adapt, right? And VPN was never really designed for this new world order in which we find ourselves in, but we've adapted it. I mean, VPN is fine if you just have a handful of remote workers, maybe they're road warriors, that need occasional access to applications on the corporate network. But it was never designed for this sort of branch office of one situation where everyone in the organization, or a vast majority, needs remote access to a hybrid mix of applications that live on-prem, some in the cloud. It is really designed to get you on the network, and then it's like you're physically there, with broad access to everything, very easy to move around the network. It does, and it can represent an enormous security risk. Now, in addition, VPN solutions offer really no guarantee that the user's device that is accessing the network is not compromised. Could be corrupt. There's just no sense of compliance or health of the device that's connecting to your network. And last but not least, VPN solutions, as we all know, can be challenging to set up, deploy, decommission, especially when you have dozens or hundreds of branch offices of one. It really can become untenable. And we all know from personal experience that VPN can be a bit of a pain. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it slows everything down to a crawl. It's not the best user experience possible, that's for sure. So what's happened? Well, perhaps many IT organizations are now doing this. But I would suggest that the smarter ones are probably doing this. Yes, so what is it about ZTNA? What is ZTNA? Well, ZTNA stands for Zero Trust Network Access. The concept of zero trust is really what it says on the tin. Trust nothing, verify everything. There is no trusted perimeter or concept of inside the network like there is with VPN. That's gone. So nothing is assumed trustworthy. So in its most basic form, ZTNA is pretty straightforward, like you see here. It's all about verifying the user is who they say they are, typically with multi-factor authentication to prevent stolen credentials from being a source of compromise. And then validating the health and compliance of that device. Is it enrolled? Is it up to date? Is it properly protected? Is encryption enabled? All of these things are important. And then using that identity and that health of that device to make decisions based on your policies to determine who can access what. Who can access them and get access to privileged data and applications that are important to your organization. So ZTNA is really a new way of enabling remote workers on pretty much any device, anywhere, to securely access important applications, assuming their identity can be verified and the health and status of their device can be validated. It's quite straightforward. Applications can be accessed directly in this model. You don't need to sort of VPN into the corporate network and then go from there. You can access the application directly from wherever you happen to be. And this application could live in the cloud or could be in a corporate data center. It could be anywhere. The trust engine protecting that application does the validation and the verification and allows access only based on your policies. So this has a number of benefits, as you can already imagine, over VPN-based solutions, which of course lack this granular control. They're difficult to manage and they often offer a dodgy user experience. So ZTNA offers much more flexibility and granularity. You can control exactly what users, what devices access what applications and data, all individually controlled on a per policy basis to manage your risk. As a result, it provides better security, minimizing the ability to move laterally within the network or access applications you shouldn't. And it sort of eliminates that concept of implicit trust simply by being on the network. And so it's much easier to deploy and enroll new users as well because it's all centrally managed, easy. And it can even be centrally managed alongside with your endpoint agent. So it's one agent, one console, easy to deploy, easy to enroll. and it's more transparent to end users. It is not an onerous, difficult task to get connected to what you need to do your job. It just works. That's that kind of experience. The connection itself is simple, frictionless, and much easier than traditional VPN clients. So let's have a look at Sophos ZTNA. What exactly are we delivering? Our solution will make an excellent complement to both our endpoint product and our firewall product, but it will, in effect, add new security capabilities to both. But more importantly, it will actually work standalone with any endpoint or firewall product. And it consists of three major components you can see here. So the ZTNA client offers a transparent user experience that I mentioned. It just works. And it integrates device health and user identity together, so we can utilize synchronized security, heartbeat, if you're a Sophos customer with endpoint and firewall. Or it can use other indicators of health to help ensure that only compliant devices get access to your apps and data. It's also super easy to deploy. It can be deployed alongside our InterceptX endpoint, effectively deploying it as a single agent from a single console for customers using both of our products. But it can also work with any endpoint solution. And it will support Windows initially, with Mac and mobile devices to follow. Now, Sophos Central is your cloud management platform, as we all know, for everything Sophos. And it will include ZTNA, offering a single cloud management console for all of your Sophos products. You'll have granular policy control over who can access what applications and under what circumstances and under what conditions, along with insightful reporting and monitoring. And then the ZTNA Gateway will be a software VM-based solution for public cloud environments as well as virtual environments on-prem, so you can install it in the cloud or on-premise to protect whatever application or service you have wherever it happens to be. It will constantly verify and validate user identity and device health to provide secure access to the apps and data that are important to you based on your policies. And of course, share login and other data back to Sophos Central for reporting and monitoring. So it's really, as you can see, a beautifully elegant solution to what is, a real complex challenge that we're all facing in the world. And it takes a lot of the pain and frustration out of remote access for both IT admins and end users, which has, really become super important with how we are all working today in this world of branch offices of one. So I strongly encourage everyone to register for the early access program, which is of course free and open to everybody, to try out our ZTNA product. The first phase will be starting any day if it's not already underway by the time you're watching this. And another phase will be planned before launching around mid-year. But if you register at this site here, you'll have the option to be informed and stay informed via newsletter of how things are progressing throughout the year. We'll keep you informed. So thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to tune in and find out what's new and what's next with XG Firewall. Thank you very much.
Great. And now, as mentioned, we have Jan, who's going to come on webcam and answer some of the live questions that have been addressed during the session. So Jan, if I can welcome you off mute, and lovely to see your face on webcam, and I'll kick off with some of the questions that we've received.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, is the Extreme subsystem implemented in software or hardware of XG?
So the current Extreme architecture is completely implemented in software. So it will work on any of our hardware devices. It will also work to a limited extent, of course, in virtual environments, but also in custom hardware deployments that you might have out there. So it's not dependent on the hardware.
Great, thank you. More towards the beginning of the recording, Chris was going over Software Central, and there was a few questions about the reporting features, and somebody wanted to know, is the reporting a free system, or does it have to be implemented through Software Central?
So you will have to register the XG Firewall in Sophos Central. You will need to sign up for a free Sophos Central account. And the basic functionalities of Central Firewall reporting are available free of charge without requiring a license, with a limited time span in terms of the reporting of 7 days.
Great, thank you. Where can we access test licenses to use our on-prem as partners as we test and play around before we sell or promote to our end clients?
That is a question that I actually can't answer, unfortunately. You should be able to get licenses within the partner portal or via your Sophos partner contacts. And if anything else, you can always, of course, sign up for a free trial on sophos.com and have a 30-day free trial to test what you want to test.
Great, thank you. And we can look to see if we can follow up that on our FAQ document that will be posted in a couple of weeks' time. Lots on the new STNA come through, but one of them was, is ZTNA a new XG subscription?
No, ZTNA is a completely separate offering to the XG Firewall. It's complementary to an XG Firewall. So it's not meant to replace VPN in XG Firewall or replace an XG Firewall itself. It's a separate system designed to address a different need than a complete firewall product or a VPN product.
Following on the same theme is, can I run an XG hardware as ZTNA gateway?
This is currently not planned to be possible. So ZTNA currently is planned to be available as a virtual machine image for VMware, and we're of course also looking to make the gateway available on all of the major public cloud platforms. But we're currently not looking at enabling you to run it on an XG firewall.
And then someone's just asking, is this going to be just rolled out to the future XG Firewall products, or will it be a feature be added to the version 18 of the XG Firewall?
So when it comes to ZTNA, as I mentioned, it's a separate product offering. So it's completely independent of XG Firewall. So it's not a feature that will be rolled out. It's a separate offering with also a separate license for the ZTNA functionality.
Thank you. What is the ETA for Sophos switches to be available?
As always with hardware, hardware is a very, very complicated topic when it comes to timelines, and even minor hiccups in the production of hardware can cause quite some delays. So at this point in time, I can't tell when we will have the Sophos switches available, but it will be within this year. It will rather be in the second half of this year, not the first half, but that's about as precise as I can get at the moment.
No problem. Thank you for that. Will the IKV2 be supported for remote access type for the VPN?
This is a very common question and a very often requested feature. And yes, we are looking into making IKV2 for client for remote access available as well. Unfortunately, due to some other priorities, I currently don't have a timeline for this. It will not be in the next release, but it will be in one of the following releases for XG Firewall.
Someone has asked, do you have any like demo accounts or practice areas that somebody can go in and just play around with the features and functions of the XG Firewall?
We actually do have a demo system available. I don't have the link to this in the top of my head, so I think that's a good one to follow up. There is a demo system that has data in it that shows data flow through the firewall, and that offers you at least some limited configuration options. that you can do. Of course, we needed to remove some functionality that would break our demo system in case someone would change the configuration there, but you can see a lot on there. And actually, thanks to one of my colleagues, this is available on sophos.com/demo.
Perfect, thank you. Do you support MFA with remote access clients?
Yes, we do support multi-factor authentication, or one-time passwords, as it's called in the XG Firewall user interface, for both SSL VPN and IPsec VPN. It's in the one-time password configuration. You can select for what functionality you actually want to enable one-time passwords, and you can choose to enable it for everything. Also, depending on what users you want to enable it for, or you can selectively say for the user portal, or for SSL VPN, or for IPsec remote access.
Thank you. Next one, is there a limitation in case of amounts of firewalls managed to central? And if there's not, what about the reporting? How does that work?
So there is no fixed limit in terms of the number of firewalls that can be managed via Sophos Central. The same holds true for central firewall reporting. You can basically add an unlimited amount of firewalls to Sophos Central. The big question is going to be, in the end, how usable the system will remain if you have a large number of firewalls in central management, and specifically in central reporting. It will get tougher to get to the information that you want to get to, or the insight that you want to gain from it, if you have a large number of firewalls in there.
Great, thank you. Next, do you support Azure MFA for XG Firewall?
Yes, that is included in SFOS 18. There are documentation for this available on the community that you can use.
Perfect. When will Let's Encrypt appear in the XG Firewall?
This is again something that is very, very frequently requested, and now we're looking into that we have been looking into implementing for quite some time now. There is still no timeline when this is going to be available, though I'm hopeful that we will be able to tackle this within this calendar year, so that hopefully the next release post this calendar year will include Let's Encrypt support.
Thank you. I have an end user who's asking, is there a way to check if my Sophos XG is linked to a specific partner?
None that I would be aware of.
No problem. Next up, which OS is supported for Sophos Connect?
So Sophos Connect is supported on Microsoft Windows and Mac OS, with the exception of Sophos Connect 2.0, which is currently only available on Microsoft Windows, but we're working hard on making version 2.0 also available on Mac OS, so that we can also support Mac users with the SSL VPN capability.
Perfect. There's a couple of admin questions coming, so I will address that after this question. How do you connect a Linux system?
I'm not really sure I understand the question. When it comes to VPN connections, then you obviously have the choice to go with the OpenVPN client that is available on basically any Linux distribution, and go for an SSL VPN connection.
Great, thank you so much, Jan. Well, just I can see the team are still working through the questions on the live. I'm just going to answer a few. What I can see has been answered about the training. So thank you for those who have joined us, whether from right from the beginning all the way to the end. As we have mentioned throughout the series, for those who've joined us for 4 or more live sessions, you have earned a voucher for one of our great XG Firewall e-learning training courses. This is both available for both partners as well as our end users. How the process is worked, that in the next coming weeks you will be sent an email with your unique training voucher for you to go on and log in, and all instructions and information on how to claim that voucher will be provided in the email. I can just see lots of people really keen to find out how to get their training vouchers. So great for everybody who has joined us for 4 or more live sessions. Sorry, Jan, back to you. Where do I find information about new features with the XG and Central?
So we have the community.sophos.com where there is a release notes section where you will find release notes for any releases that happen. You can actually, if I remember correctly, subscribe to an RSS feed on there so that you could actually get notifications. And when it comes to Sophos Central, when you log into Sophos Central, if there's anything new or noteworthy, there's typically going to be a pop-up that shows up and gives you information about the latest releases that happened, about the latest addition to features in Sophos Central.
Great. There seems to be lots of kind of new users to XG Firewall. So what would you advise is kind of their next steps after they've attended this webinar, they've had all this information? What would you advise from like an end user or partner's perspective, the next step to do?
Well, the next step, basically sign up for a free trial and play around with XG Firewall, which is the next right step to take. Check out the community, check out the documentation, check out the knowledge base to see for the areas that you're interested in, if there's anything noteworthy, specifically around things like the one-time password, questions that have come up, or SSL VPN, IPsec VPN. There's a lot of great content in the community that can help you get started and set everything up.
And a link I have seen, thank you so much to our Sophos team that's just shared the community link into the chat box. So please go and check that out. I'll kind of wrap up with just 1 or 2 more questions for you, Jan, while we have you. So the final one, what do you recommend to use to manage our Sophos access points? Should I use my XG Firewall or should I use my Sophos Central?
So I would personally recommend going with Sophos Central. Sophos Central has a few features in terms of access point management or Wi-Fi management that we don't have on XG Firewall and that we'll likely not get in XG Firewall. On top of that, if you combine all of the different management features with central management, central firewall reporting, if you have endpoint protection, Sophos Central is really a great place to go to and get all of the information and all of the insights in one central place. So doing your wireless management in Central, of course, adds to that. You have the central notification area where you get all of that information. You can have devices and reporting across the different sections more easily. So definitely my recommendation would be to go with Sophos Central for Wi-Fi management.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jan, for joining us live. It's nice to see your face as well while we're on these webinars. So thank you so much for your time. Again, I'm just going to remind everybody to say, again, you will receive a voucher email in the next coming weeks. This is available for those who have attended 4 or more live sessions. Do not worry, you don't need to email us to say which sessions you have attended. We can see that by you joining today's webinar or any of the other webinars. This is available for both our end users who will get a certified administration e-learning voucher, or our partners who will receive a firewall architect training e-learning voucher. And again, in the email that we'll be sending you will have all the details of how to claim that voucher. And again, for those who may have missed the introduction, today's session has been recorded along with all of our other 8 sessions. Just take a note of the event URL, but the email will be sent out later today for you to go onto the event page and catch up any of the sessions that you've missed. Just a print screen, just an example of where that is. If you just scroll down, click the green Watch on Demand button, they'll just ask for your name and user ID email for you to be able to watch that. So our live Q&A has closed, but I see that we still have a couple more minutes left in the webinar. So want to obviously for you guys to take full opportunity to speak to our Sophos resources and experts while we have them in our Q&A panel. So thank you very much for those who've joined us. For those who wish to answer any more questions, please stay with us for the next 5 or so minutes while we just finish off the webinar. Thank you, take care and stay safe. Thank you again for those who are staying with us. We'll be now closing today's webinar. A big thank you for those who've joined us for all 9 sessions of the XG Firewall Academy, and we'll be emailing you soon with a new and exciting academy coming to you soon. Thank you and take care.